It's Juneteenth of 2023.
Juneteenth means freedom to me.
It's important to acknowledge that Black people are here and that we have contributed to this community.
I mean, Juneteenth is a special day when you think about it. It means that it was the end of a journey that started another one that still continues.
Juneteenth is a celebration of the end of slavery in the United States that freed more than 1 million individuals. And what's important about Juneteenth is that it helps us to remember the trials and tribulations that our ancestors went through. And it's a time and a call for us to recognize the ramifications of slavery, the institution of slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, and other discriminatory actions and the systematic racism that Black Americans face.
But today is a celebration, and I thank you for coming. Enjoy.
We've been planning this event, let's see, maybe I'm gonna say like 4 or 5 months, and it's turned out to really be a really great day. I'm really excited. My team did everything from the marketing to the flyers to communicating, just all the logistics. Our youth chose all of the performers and they booked them and they did all the planning. I'm more proud of the fact that these young people came together and put this event on and executed flawlessly.
I grew up in Shoreline all my life. I was born in Ethiopia. I came here when I was like 2, 3 years old, and so this is basically like my second home. Like I grew up here, I was raised here, and so it hasn't been as diverse. It's like just like my area, like where I grew up, where I went to school, I've always been like elementary school, I was always like the only Black girl, the only Black student in all my classes. Eventually it did change as I was growing up and going to high school and college, but it was still very limited. And so to see that the city is doing, making a big change, such as recognizing Juneteenth and hosting an event such as like this for the first time, I see it as a big change, and I think it is making a difference. It's overdue, but it's still progress at the end of the day.
And so that's our theme, is that we brought excellence to Shoreline and joy in a time in the world where we don't always have joy and we don't always see ourselves. Like, that was our theme, really, was just joy and celebration.
Shoreline is actually a fairly diverse community, but most community meetings, you don't see that. And so having the true Shoreline community show up there, which is a huge diaspora of people and gender identities and all that, that's always really cool. And we say that on a few occasions. I want to see it on every occasion, but you don't always. I mean, if you show up to a neighborhood meeting, usually it's a bunch of people of, they're all white, they're of a certain age, and those are the environments we've created that aren't always welcoming to everybody in the community, and seeing everybody in the community is always really cool.
One of the things I loved about the city is that it's family oriented, and I wanted to raise a family. If you ask specifically what I really loved more as I lived here, is that I was able to present what was absent, and that is starting a multicultural heritage festival, just to embrace diversity and show appreciation for different cultures. So I began to fall in love with the city more and more. One of the things I really enjoyed about it is the music. I always say that there's no language for music. It's free, we all understand music, and we appreciate that. And so that's one of the artistic pieces that I really appreciate. And the city, of course, incorporated a lot of arts and public arts, presentation that made it even more inclusive.
Actually, we say jokingly that we're forging the Seattle Black Renaissance of artists as such in real time. So this is an exciting time, and I'm excited to be able to work and collaborate with these guys. There's some amazing stuff happening right now, and I'm happy to be a part of it. When I look at these particular figures, they're just symbols from our past that represent, positive things, and it's self-explanatory, from Malcolm to Miles to Marvin to Frederick, and they're all special people, And so I just thought it was apropos to, to have them represent this occasion today.
And so if we can create platforms for people to share, but not just to share the story, but from this story, this is what I have learned and this is where I am today. And so to serve as a motivation, if we can have more of that, I will really appreciate that.
My family's been doing activism out in this area for over 20 years. And so we've worked with the city and lots of other institutions around and just kind of have shown up. And I've always echoed the voice of our community and making sure that Black people's voices will always be heard in every space for every decision.
The effects of racism has been over the years and on generations, and how we're seeing it now in areas that you may not think of right off the bat, but generational wealth and all that stuff, if you trace it back far enough, it starts with racism and it's carried through, and getting past it requires affirmative steps. We need to understand the implications to make the policies important, right? So for me, I'm always looking at it as a chance to learn and a chance to share the history there, right? And because redlining resulted in Black people having a hard time buying homes here, and the homes that people bought here in the 1930s and 40s have increased in value to a tremendous point, to where the people who inherit those homes now have a tremendous pool of wealth that Black people were literally told, you can't have that. It's illegal for you to get that. Juneteenth is a fantastic celebration. There's a lot of things to take pride in, but I really look at it more as a chance to sort of think through where the problems still are and what we need to address in policy to the extent we can address it in policy. And I want to have some folks there to talk about history and some folks there to talk about the practical stuff, because again, it's hard to see it now, right? Like there's not a law in the books that says one race is different than another race, but the impacts are still there. And thinking about that, I mean, I've learned a lot over the last 8 years on council, and having everybody sort of understand that, and then understand, well, gosh, okay, maybe we need a homeownership program that is oriented to the extent you can towards certain communities that haven't had that chance to live in Shoreline. And then the celebration is also great because it's easy to get overwhelmed with all the negativity and how far we've got to go and how we don't understand, and having a sense that everyone is welcome and welcoming, that's also really cool, and I hope we continue that.
We've made a really active investment in a lot of our programming to include all different types of cultures, and not just be educational and dance classes, but maybe dance classes that are taught from different cultures. And we have really expanded the types of events that we do, and Juneteenth is a really big one that we have recently included. We're offering a big celebration here in this small little city, and people don't have to go somewhere else to celebrate. We're doing it right here. And I can stay in my own community and go to a big celebration and support Black businesses and kind of show my kids that people are seen here. You don't have to go somewhere else. The thing that I love about our city here in Shoreline is that we offer so many great events free to the public. Our city council does an amazing job with making sure when Parks and Recreation asks to hold things and asks for a budget, they are just amazing at making sure that we can provide these events that are accessible to all.
I do see a lot of different cultures come in our community center that take part in our programs. From a city standpoint, it's great to have our staff do things and our staff run things and put things out there, but it's so much better when you can get the community to step in and make it the way they want it, and be able to attract the crowds that they want to bring in and make it more theirs. The community has changed. It's definitely getting more diverse. All of this stuff is huge. And I think the community, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be good for this environment. I think it's going to challenge us. I think it's going to push us to look at how we run things, figuring out how to appeal to the communities that we haven't reached and what do they need from us.
So we were really excited that the city commissioned the artists to do it and put the mural up. You know, a lot of people in the community didn't understand. They were like, oh, it's just, what does that mean? But that's what we need. We need you to say, what does that mean? So we can then educate you. The mural stands in a place where it's widely seen. I have people all the time taking pictures of it and asking questions and celebrating it.
I remember when we did that first one, I learned about the Sankofa bird. And I said, oh, that's so cool, you know what I mean? I wanted to share what that meant, so I painted it and, you know, shared the meaning, and we plastered out some flyers and stuff in the neighborhood to kind of, you know, share some different education about Juneteenth and the Sankofa bird and the meaning and stuff like that.
For people that don't know, basically adinkras are a West African symbol. They work like hieroglyphs, so they don't have a direct meaning, but they have a loose meaning. So like the one that's closest to us is knowledge. But it also can mean other words around knowledge. And it's a great way to say things without actually putting words in it. This one is family adaptability. And it's really about COVID and how families dealt with COVID and things like that, because everyone's lives changed. And we chose Booker T. Washington as a key figure because not only was he a great educator, but he was very big on family. And again, we wanted to honor some of the things around Juneteenth as well.
We have pretty much an endless amount of inspiration and ideas.
This one was solidarity, and basically it was about bringing the community together, embracing art and culture. I would imagine if we sit out here long enough, you'll probably see some of that as people walk by and things like that, because you get a lot of traffic, early morning joggers and walkers and mothers with babies and so on. And every last one of them, they'll stop and look at one of these murals. If we're out there, they'll come talk to us and things of that nature.
The love coming back from the community, telling us specifically how much they appreciate it. I mean, you know, it's one thing to know it, but for someone to say like, hey, thank you so much for beautifying our community and for putting this mural up and teaching us about, you know, Juneteenth and the celebration and everything, you know, that just feels good.
The biggest base to my art is it's my legacy. So this is that thing that when people say, you know, what'd you do and so on, mine is art. It's to leave the planet a little more beautiful than, you know, when I was here. And hopefully inspire some other people to become artists, show people that there is another path out there. Art is one of those things that brings the community together. It makes people feel good. And without art, you know, the city don't feel the same. You need a city that has art in it, something that's bright, because we all have a bad day. So if you wake up and you come out of your house and you look at something like this can brighten your day.
I always tell people when they ask me this question, it's weird because I'm like, they must not really pay attention because they're like, oh, well, are you worried that somebody's gonna, like vandalize your artwork or whatever, or you know, tag on it or something? And I said, you know, I've never had that happen my whole career, you know what I mean? And to be honest with you, you know, they're artists too, you know what I'm saying? So like, I be telling people a way to prevent, you know, graffiti, for one, is to have more murals, have more artwork, and then include them in creating the artwork.
I think the mural is a great example of the city embracing different cultures and racial backgrounds. And so this is just one piece of the puzzle that I think the city is trying to put together to show and to prove that we are an anti-racist community. And so I love driving by this every day. One of the many reasons why I came to work for the city of Shoreline is because they adopted an anti-racist resolution. And that told me that the leaders of this community want a community and a local government that is inclusive and supportive and welcoming to everyone. And so when I attended the first Juneteenth event for the city, I was so proud to be not only a resident of Shoreline, but also a member of the Shoreline City team. It proved to me that the council did more than just enact a resolution. They actually tried to implement programs and events that are inclusive to all the community and want people to learn more about other folks in the community. And so I felt like they put their money where their mouth was.
We've had nothing but positive response. I think a lot of people didn't really know like what to expect or what it is. So we've done a lot of education about what Juneteenth is, reflecting on our past, and then calling out our past and talking about it has not always been great being a Black person in this community. And our experience needs to be, our stories need to be told, and our experiences need to be validated and brought to the front every single time. And so a lot of people didn't really know what to expect, but I'm glad that they still came out, and I'm glad that they're curious, because that's what it takes. It takes for them to be curious and come and see and come and experience and come and hear. My hopes for Juneteenth celebrations in Shoreline is that they continue happening, and that they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and that more people become involved, and that more more Black youth become involved in the planning process and with the vision of it and with the performers. And I want them to have this day to showcase their talent and celebrate Juneteenth with their community.
The feedback from the public obviously is great, and we want more of this, not just at the City Hall, but possibly part of the city, just to tell a bigger stories.
I would say to other cities, if you're going to throw an event like Juneteenth or Dia de la Muertes, any kind of event that is a cultural celebration, please talk to people in your community that are Black or brown, that understand this celebration, that understand the background, the history, that can make a real authentic event, because otherwise you're just disrespecting it.
One of the things I want to see is it should not just be centered on what is past. What is past, I believe, is past. What can we change? How can we look at things through equity lens in every step of our decision making? Can we make that possible, that, okay, as we celebrate Juneteenth, from today, henceforth, or moving forward, we want to look at every policy, every decision we make through an equity lens. That's what will really make me excited. It's not just about the celebration, don't just make it a checkbox. What can we do moving forward? That's more of something that I would love to see.